And good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 80. That's 80, that is, of the New York Red Bulls discussion group, the podcast. I'm Gary Redmond. Welcome aboard and greetings and salutations, everyone. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. Well, of course, we're going to talk about the fiasco that took place in Sandy, Utah with Real Salt Lake versus New York Red Bulls, and why we're going to play a little word association there. And then I'm a little word to the wise, a little warning. It's not going to be too friendly. Of course, we're going to talk about also the U.S. men's national team and their Gold Cup run coming to an end. And, of course, New York Red Bull, too. And they did great, but then, of course, they coughed up a few goals, of course, down there in Chester, Utah. Of course, naturally. Nothing for Gotham FC this week, but we're all going to talk about New York Red Bull 2, New York Red Bull, and why. We're going to talk about, of course, the Leagues Cup and why you should care. Of course, we're going to discuss all about the tournament, which is the very next game versus New England Revolution, and that's coming up this Saturday. Now, if you missed the live show, by all means, please don't worry about it. The recording is going to happen right now, and it will be available on our YouTube channel and, of course, Spotify.com the very next day. As a matter of fact, it gets loaded immediately after the show ends. And you can also check out our previous episodes there as well. This is our third season, and you'll see all those in its entirety for your listening pleasure. And more importantly, if you have any questions, comments, hot takes, suggestions, remember this is your show, and we strive to make it better on every episode. So if you have any of the above, please do send it our way. Don't be shy at NYRBDG the podcast at gmail.com. We have a email address, rbdg the podcast at gmail.com. So with that said, Lanier Badmus, he's unfortunately will not be joining us today because he is vacationing. I mean, hard-working brother. I mean, he's a supermodel after all, so even supermodels get a break or two. But of course, this show cannot start well enough, of course, with our good friend and, of course, Rant Man in Chief. And, of course, we're talking to the one and only Miguel Nunez. Good evening, good sir. And how was your weekend?
Yeah, it could have been better. It could have been worse, So, I mean, we lost, okay? We could have won, all right? But at this point, Gary, it is what it is, okay?
Okay.
That's
all right, so
how
I didn't
I'm
see
taking it.
Well,
It
the
is
good
what
news
it
that
is.
I didn't see any nuclear I didn't see any nuclear your mushroom cloud coming from your direction where your home was. But yeah. Of course, we can't begin our show tonight because there were two games that we talked about this week. The first one, of course, versus FC Cincinnati, which is basically the team that is ruling the East and ruling the roost. I've said this more than once. The team gave it a go, but then something happened down the stretch. And what I mean by down the stretch, how did a one goal lead, and you basically had the team literally on the front foot, but you let it slip? And by that, I mean silly fouls, giving a team chances of free kicks, and then expecting to get out of it in one piece. And this is what usually happens with young teams. Go ahead, Miguel, because you texted me immediately after the game and said, and I quote, see what happens when you don't have veteran leadership on the squad. Flesh that out for everybody in the studio audience. And speaking of the studio audience, good evening out there, guys. How you doing?
Listen, Gary.
Uh-oh.
You know what? We don't have those type of players, man, that could just they could be hardcore to close out games, man. We don't have those veterans that know how to do it. Okay. At the very end, it's like, let's pray that they can do this. Okay. And you know what? I would have taken the 1-1, Gary. Okay. But then you know what? Coronel with a howler. Okay. I'm sorry, Gary. I gotta call it like I see it.
It was.
Okay? Because he should have stopped that. We should have gotten out of there with 1 point at the very least. Okay,
Mm.
we should have won. We should have won it in the first half. Okay,
That's true.
at home, come on. Okay,
Dropping
but,
points, dropping points at home is something that
listen,
that is a cardinal sin. Okay,
that,
especially when you're
that's
a
fine.
goal up. And
I will say this, Gary.
Mm.
We were lucky to be 1-0 up because I didn't feel that was a penalty. Okay, that was given to us. Omir put it away. That's it, you know. And as a matter of fact, that penalty that was given to FC Cincinnati, I thought it was more of a penalty than the penalty that we got. And
That's
people
debatable.
were, you know what I mean?
That's debatable. When I'm saying it's debatable, I'm saying also it's agreeable. Because
people were debating that. Okay, but
it shouldn't.
But listen,
it was plain as day, and then everybody who was actually there, it would
that the refs. You know what? I thought the ref got it right. I'm sorry, I gotta call it like I see it. 1-1. What, in the 94th minute? I think. And then Carlos Coronel, the ball was right at him, Gary.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Come on, stop that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got out of there with 1 point.
Yeah.
All right.
We basically, the team basically just, laid a big fat egg in the last 10 minutes of the match. 10. FC Cincinnati showed the entire building, if not just the entire league, why they are where they are. Leaguers dig deep and they never give up. This was something that the Red Bulls used to do when they had the league. Were behind. They fought like hell, knowing that they couldn't afford to give up leads. But here we are. This is and then of course leads into game number 3 in 8 days. And the word association, I would like everyone who is also listening and also in the live audience, that game on Saturday was blank. You fill in the blank.
That game on Saturday was shambolic. Okay? Shambolic, Gary. You know what? Of course, they go to RSL. It's sort
of a place we haven't won since 2008.
Yeah, and it's at altitude.
A place we haven't tied a game since 2020.
Yeah,
23. So go ahead.
It's at altitude. I mean, it's not Colorado.
Wait a minute, we're giving excuses now.
But no, but you know what? It's like, you know what? We're not going to win. As a matter of fact, we would be lucky to get out of there, with a draw. That's my thinking. Okay, and then you allow RSL to get 3 absolute golazos, man. Okay, and just compare the players that they have against the players that we have, Gary.
Ain't that much.
What? I'm not talking about.
I didn't see any other than Arango. I didn't see any top tier superstars on that squad.
But I'm not talking about Messi type players. But they have like 3 guys, man. They're
got some balls in that squad. They do.
There's an Arsenal like football, tiki taka, and stick it in the back of the net, and that's the main thing. They have, as a matter of fact, that one guy, Diego Luna, right?
Luna. Speaking of which we're gonna highlight.
He's a guy that can actually stick it in the back of the net. Okay.
Well,
Barlow should have had. Listen, Barlow should have had one. Okay. Corey Burke should have had one. I mean, come on.
He blew an easy tap in. I mean, he tried to chip the goalkeeper and it went wide left. I mean, I'm sure that it must have hurt his feelings. I mean, when that happened. But here we go. Speaking of Mr. Luna, for those of you who also was watching the game, and of course, Milton Solis with an absolute fabu job doing the game thread. The pain didn't even take very long. It was just simply 2 minutes into the match before Mr. Diego Luna came up and scored the game's first goal.
Because he can play with the left foot. There he's looking for the run of Savarino in behind the back line. But look for Vera, and glad to be on the ball a lot tonight to help break this press.
RSL finding some width now, going back in, and they score! What a way to start! Diego Luna, the
pressure on Red Bull right from the start. Play the direct long ball. Savarino looking for that run of Diego Luna. Gets on the wrong side of Cameron Harper. It's a good ball out through the midfield. Chicho popping off that back line. Savarino picking his head up, looking for the run on the blind side. Diego Luna making that run right across the face of Cameron Harper and just gliding this one past the standing Coronel, who could do nothing about it.
Okay, basically that was it. Right off the bat, Miguel, they did not look settled. They did not look in sync. I mean, for all intents and purposes, RSL was just simply dancing around those guys. The report, the announcer was saying that RSL just broke through Red Bull's press. I didn't see any press. I mean, that would be unfair because it looked like they were just stationary to me. And my word association for that in particular match is predictable. And I'll explain why in a minute. Of course, Mr. Luna was not done. Of course, naturally, in the 53rd minute, he struck again.
Well won. Mazovsky, heavy traffic to get through, gets it back. Luna, the brace!
Just danced around the defense like Fred Astaire.
Does it again. He has every RSL supporter in America's First Field standing on their feet, praising this RSL team. Mazovsky running at the back line. Diego Luna
chasing
picking
shadows.
up the seconds. Combination play. Look at that little clever, cheeky finish right over top of the oncoming Cornell. Little clip ball. Sees the goalkeeper coming out. Insane vision to see that. An even better finish, just clips it right over top of Coronel and in the back of the net to double RSL's lead. What a phenomenal little combination from Diego Luna.
Basically, if you was a Red Bull supporter, you were sick to your stomach at this point because let's face it. I mean, we're in seasons past. We've had brick walls for defense. This was about as porous as it got. It was like a sieve. Diego was just simply saying, look, I'm just going to dance with you, and you just tiptoed, tiki-taka right through that picket fence and then got their second goal. I mean, it was just bad all the way around. I mean, this is the type of match where if you wanted to turn off your TV at this point, no one would blame you because you knew that the L was coming. And he played in the World 20 World Cup. We've seen him ball. He's a baller. He's a gamer. He's a baller. I mean, I've said that. I made the mistake of calling him a teenager. I'm going to retract that, what I posted. He's not a teenager. He's a grown kid who's definitely know what he's doing. And he did it to us and put the team through the sword. I have to give him his props for that. His teammates picked us off. It's that simple. But when you have a bad start, and we interviewed the coach shortly after the game, he didn't mince any words. He felt that bad starts shouldn't happen against clubs like that, especially if you're playing to win at a place where you don't win, and they haven't won a single game since 2008, and that's what the problem was. Miguel, I'm all out of adjectives. You just step in for me. Your thoughts after that second goal, man? Because I saw you shaking your head like, wow.
Don't know that. I mean, I can't believe it because everybody's all bunched up there.
Yeah.
And you allow these guys to play tiki-taka through you. Okay. How does that guy Luna get through everybody?
Nobody bodied him. Right.
Chips it right over.
Nobody
man.
bodied him.
Come on.
I understand you want to be careful not to foul the guy in the box because that's what you're going to wind up doing anyway because you're not smart enough a little bit not to understand the situation, but at least put a body on him, to slow him down to make sure he's not the last guy with the ball, which is exactly what he was after that deft pass. I mean, and what a pass, okay?
Tremendous pass, and then he found himself wide open against the goalkeeper. Yeah. And you know what? Little chip right over.
Yep.
Corey Burke had a better chance. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And he put it way wide.
Yep.
Oh,
all was, just when all was lost. And I mean, you felt that the L was definitely coming. But then again, in the 80th minute, Frankie Amaya got one back for New York.
Manuel. Duncan lays it across, and they find one.
Nice soft touch goal.
Red Bulls not going home empty-handed, and there goes the clean sheet.
Amaya making those ghosting runs out of midfield. It's Manuel who gets the ball out to Duncan in the wide space, gets his head up, no pressure on the ball. Frankie Amaya making that run straight across Ojeda, opening up his hips, using the inside of his foot. Fantastic finish. Standing there waiting
Sublime.
for it, takes one step, redirects it past Zach McMath, and the frustration from McMath.
Yep, and that was the end of his clean sheet, and that was the end of that. But
Gary, that's a golazo.
It was a golazo.
And that's a defensive midfielder, Gary.
Yeah.
Barlow wishes he could score a goal like that. Okay, go ahead.
Another guy in defense with another goal. We've heard this one before. But just when we were thinking a little bit of hope that maybe the team would tie the match, RSL is a very good side. They're even an exceptional side at home. Okay. And they did what most teams do when your team knocks off your clean sheet. They respond 1 minute later. Ladies and gentlemen, the kill shot.
Savarino has been all over the field. Oh! Sava with the sparks to retake the 2-goal lead.
Pablo Mastriani won it. Oviedo trying to cross this one in, chases it down, gets his head up, sees Savarino at the top of the box. Sava taking that lateral touch, which gives him space away from the defender, uses the inside of his foot, curls this one past a diving Cora. Now, Red Bull has two defenders right there. Sava, the conviction to step up, nestles it into the side netting.
And so the final score, New York Red Bulls 1, Real Salt Lake 3. Salt Lake 3. Lunar with 2, Savarino with the one in the 81st minute, and that was all she wrote. If you look at the shots, and I mean, I'm gonna stop it right here for everyone to take a look here. 13 shots, 4 on frame, but you see Real Salt Lake, they got 9 shots, but most of it was quality. Savarino was all over the field. Okay, it's you saw basically who the better team was. And the reason why I said it was predictable is because, once again, this team has this habit of coming up small against clubs that you really want to you want to look want to come up huge, but they don't. And when they come against teams that are below them in the standings, that for some reason they like Mickey Mouse. I don't get these guys. They have a bipolar attitude when it comes to playing their opponents. I know I'm not supposed to give, I'm not supposed to, give commentary, of course, to a team and let you do that, Miguel. But as you know, Lanier is not here, so I have to do both of their roles. So it really, although the season is not quite not done yet. However, in the playoff race, if we're looking at the standings, it's not bad. 4 points off the pace. But these 2 losses, the one for FC Cincinnati and the one right now against Real Salt Lake, puts that chance as a serious hit. Do you think so?
Well, we were talking about this before we came on.
The pre-show.
They are 4 points off the last playoff spot. That point that dropped against FC Cincinnati might be huge at the end of the season, but
should they fall short?
Yeah, we're 4 points off the last playoff spot, which is right now being taken up by DC United. But we have
who was hot at one point. What happened to them? It falling like a brick. What's with those guys?
Please let the free fall continue for them. But we have a game in hand. Okay,
that's the good news.
we could win that and we'd be like 1 point behind them, let's say, okay? But they
Yeah.
gotta start winning, Gary. They gotta start, you know what?
Yeah.
They gotta start picking up points, okay?
Yeah, they do.
They
They,
gotta
they, they
start
need to really start picking up points. I mean,
more,
because
more than draws. They have to start winning, Gary, because you know what? If they don't, we're gonna fall short out of the usual or what Red Bull want every season. We've made the playoffs. Okay, yeah. Look, we've made the playoffs. Here's our freaking cup.
we do
Okay.
play DC United twice, one here at the Cathedral and one on the road, which I will be in DC.
There
So,
you go. We just win those two. We're good. Okay, there you go.
I think we're gonna have to do more than that, partner. Much more than that.
I forget. Messi's coming here soon.
Oh yeah, the spectacle. Of course, how should I put this? You know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The team needs help. Okay. We're seeing other squads signing up players. They may not be good. They may not be great. They may be bums. Okay. We will never know. But nothing says we're going for it than signing, some reinforcements that you can able to count on down the stretch. Red Bulls have been disturbingly quiet on that end. There's maybe a rumor or so. I understand that there was one person that, I understand there was one person they wanted to sign, but he said no. And that was the end of it. It's not looking great for the supporters, especially when your own coach tells you, look, we'll sign whatever the heck we need to sign and the right guy, and that's about it. In the meantime, we're good with what we got. No, that's not what the fans want to hear. The fans want to hear if, they see they see Messi being blasted about all over the place. I mean, I work not very far from the Adidas store on Fifth Avenue and 47th Street, and it's decked out in pink. Okay, you figure that this is a New York flagship store, right? And I'm willing to bet if I go downtown to the one down in Houston Street, I'm going to see the same thing. I mean, I'm definitely going to see the same thing. Messi is going to be in front, left, right, and center, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the show is definitely coming to town. Meanwhile, Red Bulls are just, we don't know if they're picking up the groceries. We don't know if they're even in the store at this point, or they're shopping, whatever the case may be. And then this is why fans feel so dejected. Like, okay, what am I doing here? I mean, why am I supporting this team?
Because I want to hang out with my friends. I want to hang out with my friends and drink beer.
Well, we're not asking these people to start riots.
Jump up and down. That's why we're here.
Right. I mean, we're not asking these fans to start riots. Okay. We're not asking these fans to act like jackasses and just blow up the place. No, save that nonsense for Europe. But what I would like the fans to do, especially season ticket holders, to knock on the door and have, grant an audience with any member of the front office and ask a direct question. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we looking for bodies? Are we?
You just sounded like Taylor Twellman.
I'm gonna take a page and I'm Taylor Twellman. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, this you can't have this type of apathy with the fan base. You just can't. Fans want to know, plain and simple. Do you have any championship aspirations or no? If not, then okay, I'll just take my fandom and take my money and whatever the case may be elsewhere. And you can't do this, to these supporters. You got to cut these guys a break. And the best way you cut these guys a break is to be honest with them. I'm like, I understand that you're saying that you're looking and stuff like that, but they're not getting anything. They're not getting a sniff of a rumor. They're not getting any hints of, anyone signing up. They're not getting jack. And as we know, historically, this franchise likes to play it close to the vest when it comes to these matters. That's a bad move in my part. That is a very bad move. And for a fan base that is starving for a championship now 28 years and counting, any semblance of good news they're looking to hear, and hopefully not from a recent signing from Red Bull 2. Thank you very much. As much as I love those guys, that's not the type of squad you want to build from, okay? Unless the Red Bull 2 side is about as strong as the first team, and they're not. Okay, there's some good guys on that team, and
Yeah, Gary,
so Sakai is doing a fantastic job.
but I just want to say something, Gary, in regards to Red Bull 2. Okay, I think they've done a disservice to the players who have been playing on that team. Well, there's a lot of turnover year after year.
Of course, it's by design.
However, that they're out of USL and they're not playing against other actual professionals who have a lot of players who have actual MLS experience are on USL teams, and now they're playing against against other academy kids. Okay, and they want them to step up.
The only team that has not moved over from USL to MLS Next Pro, and that happens to be Loudoun United. They feel that their team and their players, even if that team winds up last place, okay, they get some growth playing against grown men, okay, who are playing to look for. They're playing. You know what they're playing down there in USL? They're looking for any particular scout or head assistant coach and get noticed by them so they can offer them a contract. And my point is, a lot of people wave off USL as a league that stinks. I followed the USL for a very long time. Out of all the ballers there is at least a 10% class of guys who are MLS ready. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're trying to convince me that none of them are worth a look. You're kidding. Okay. You're kidding. They're playing for a contract. Scout the hell out of that league. I'm sure that out of that 10%, there's got to be less than 5% that might fit the bill of what you're looking for. A striker, a backup defender, somebody with a lot of, a savvy veteran that can able to rally the troops so losses against FC Cincinnati don't happen. Okay? That was what was missing. You were missing a ball that said, all right, don't panic. Let's finish the job. You ain't got that. You got a captain who's slightly wet behind the ears. I'm not dissing Sean Nealis. I'm not doing that. He earned the armband, and he's probably the elder statement of the team. But I'm talking about guys who've been in battles, who know how to see their way to victory. He ain't that. He's not that. I mean, I like him. Hell, I like him as our captain. But as far as a veteran, as far as a veteran, leadership, just not there yet. You need guys that's willing to take teams by the scruff of the neck and say, "Let's go, let's do this." You ain't got that. All the rah-rah, all the speeches and all-in sound-offs is running a little hollow right now. What this team needs to do is to dig deep. You got 11 games to get out of this mess, okay? Sure, use the Leagues Cup, which we're going to be talking about that in a moment and why you should care. And try to get some feet. Most of you guys are back from international duty. The only, of course, big missing piece, as you and I talked about, Miguel. It doesn't look good, of course, naturally, with Lewis Morgan out of the mix. You need him.
Well, I was just gonna chime in. It's like, it doesn't help that our best player from last season is not playing. But he's one guy, okay?
Right. He's one dude.
One guy.
He's one dude. So I'm sure that the rest of your guys can step up. And to a point, they've done so admirably, but it's not enough.
Gary,
it's not enough.
When you have on your roster forwards who can't score,
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's a big.
Van Zier seems to be doing quite fine. Thank you very much. He's got just 2 goals. He's got basically less than he's got less goals than the guy who wasn't here, of course. Kamala. It's got less than he. I mean, but it's not looking good. As I said this, on the as I said this in the group about this team, they were saying, okay, I'm hoping that Red Bull sells. That's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. What's happening now will happen to all clubs, lots of clubs. Okay, first of all, they're fighting injury. Most of the major players are either gone. Because when's the last time you seen, of course, Lewis Morgan? When's the last time you see Serge Goma? He had a setback, and he was working his way back from hamstring problem. Hamstring problems are hard to heal. Okay?
But Serge Goma had just come up from Red Bull too, Gary.
Right, okay? Of course.
He's one of those guys that they just brought up, and he did well, and then he's injured. That's all that we have to look forward to. Yeah. Them bringing up guys from Red Bull too,
and that's a problem. And as I said, and as I said prior, you're trying to tell me that your best options is to the second team, which it's like reaching in the bottom of the barrel, which is long since emptied. Okay. You're not going to find anything there. Yes, I am calling out Dennis Hamlet because he seems to be the man who seems to be, giving, Mr. Jokin Schneider, or how they're able to get these balls. But then again, why isn't Jokin Schneider, diving deep, okay, in the transfer window on the European side or even the South American side? What's going on up there, and why is it disturbingly quiet during this time? Where really in the past we've been hearing nothing but rumors on top of rumors. Even if they went nowhere, Red Bull was basically looking to say, okay, we're looking for this guy, we're looking for that guy. It seems to me that you're sitting back and saying to the whole world, hey, these are the guys that are going to possibly win us a championship. Trust us. We're going to prove you wrong. I hope you're right. Okay, because from what I'm looking at right now, it's not good, Miguel. It's not good. I mean, I can see why you're constantly set off by these guys.
Who actually believes that a team full of these guys that we have now is going to win us a championship?
Nobody.
Who is deluded enough to believe that?
Nobody.
Not me.
Not me. I mean, and I write about these guys every day. I mean, not me. God. I mean, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I mean, as somebody, and as I said to, one of our, esteemed members, as somebody who got in the ground floor since 1995, this is about as bad as I can remember. And that was during the, deep into the Metro Stars years. This is this bad, okay, where there was absolutely no hope. You're not giving the fan base any hope, any excitement, any buzz, anything, okay, for them to hang their hat on. And that's not good. That is simply not good.
Gary, this is why I'm pro promotion relegation, okay?
Like because that's going to solve anything?
I'm not saying you can't be as they are if you have that. You have to actually invest so you don't go down, okay? But, I understand these are just my fantasies, okay? But, this, what they have now breeds indifference, okay?
And that's not what you want.
That's exactly right.
What you want. If you owned this club, okay, Miguel, let me ask you this. You own this club and this team is performing like this. Is heads rolling or nah? And we're not talking about we're not just stopping at the coach. We're talking everybody. At season's end, dudes have to go.
No. Okay, no. Personally, yeah, heads would roll. I would get actual people, who can, I would get Hamlet out. I would get an actual international type coach. I would get actual players that can actually play some veterans, man. Okay, I'm not talking about signing Messi. Okay,
nope.
Just look at what RSL
or
had
anybody in that caliber. You ain't getting those guys.
Yeah,
you ain't getting those guys. Not in this club.
Man.
You ain't getting those guys. You're better off getting somebody who can at least light a fire on the team. That's it.
what NYCFC did with the
They got a
players
forward
that
and a defender.
the players that no, but I'm talking about on their way to winning an MLS Cup, the team that they put together. Okay, the players that they bought, they got players, and we're not superstars.
No, they weren't household names. You never heard of James Sands or any of those guys. Okay, but they were ballers. Okay?
Yeah,
And they were standing behind against a bona fide home run hitter.
Yeah, exactly.
And they, but like
we
I said,
had that. We had that with
yeah,
Bradley.
but they were a squad, right? But they were a squad that, let's put it that way, they were a mid-table squad, and then the COVID just gave them the opportunity of a lifetime.
There you go.
And they took it.
They took it.
Say what you want about the COVID Cup and everything,
I'm
COVID
not
Cup
one of
and
those
everything
people.
else.
I'm not one of those people.
Say what you want, say what you will, but had that been us, we wouldn't stop celebrating right now. Okay,
dude,
they did. When you have when you have an opportunity, basically to win it all, regardless. I mean, who asked Philadelphia to have half their damn squad sick with COVID? Yeah. Who? Everybody taking protocols left and right, and they took it deadly seriously. Okay, but half your team wound up sick at the wrong time
because they're going out to somebody's birthday party. Right? And, come on,
who asked you? I mean, you want to blame NYCFC and saying, okay, but blame Philly Union. I mean, they had the best. Second to them losing to LAFC. In MLS Cup final, they had their best chance, in the 2000, in 2022, but it didn't happen. So that proves that in this league, anything can happen if you have an opportunity and if your team is good enough to survive rounds. And right now, your squad ain't in it. I mean, I just don't see it. So, which is probably the reason why when we talk about the Leagues Cup, which is coming after the break.
Oh, please. Please, I couldn't care less, Gary. I could not care less about.
I know you don't, but I'm going to show you why you should. So stick around here about after 30 seconds, and I'll explain the Leagues Cup, which will happen on Saturday. Of course, naturally, we're not going to be playing a single game until later on in August, but of course, there will be a game this Saturday, and it happens to be the Leagues Cup.
No, Gary. There will be a game this Saturday at MetLife. My Gunners are playing Man United. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Half my friends are going to be there. If you run into them, tell them I said hi.
There you go.
Most of them are Manchester United supporters. They're going to be there. They're going to drink their beer. Yeah. They're going to drink their beer. They're going to see basically a glorified exhibition between two old foes. But if it's a glorified exhibition and these two clubs historically hate their guts, this should be fun. So
there will be actual football being played, in the base.
Football, you say? Huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the Leagues Cup. Now, for all intents and purposes, most of these folks are saying that this is a meaningless tournament taking place, and basically the best spot basically for MLS. Because there's especially when games happen in August, especially when you're going for playoff runs for teams that are in the bottom of the line, underneath the line of playoff. This is this could be a bad thing for many of those teams who are trying to get hot toward the end of the season. But I'm going to show you why you should care about this league. Basically, the Leagues Cup, runs from July 21st, basically all the way to August 19th. We don't get involved with Major League Soccer play until the 20th. Now, essentially, all of the clubs, and I mean every single one of them, from MLS and Legal MX, are going to compete in a completely reimagined Leagues Cup, which is an annual, which means this is going to happen next year, folks, a month-long tournament. Now, the competition format works like this. First of all, it's an official CONCACAF competition. Yeah, that's right. This isn't just MLS. This is the conference, this is the confederation saying, yeah, we gave it its blessings. So basically all MLS and Liga MX clubs are going to participate. This is basically a World Cup style tournament, group stage followed by knockout rounds. It gets tricky after this, so let me explain this, and we only have time for me to explain once. There's going to be 4 regions of this: East, West, South, and Central. We are in the East. There are going to be 77 games hosted in MLS stadiums throughout the United States and Canada. Liga MX versus Liga MX matches will be played at MLS venues depending on the region. So depending on the region where you are, you might probably see a rivalry match like Atlas versus, of course, Club America playing, at an MLS stadium, which I know that's going to get sold out almost immediately. And there's going to be a lot of fun there. Now, the one thing about this competition, folks, is no ties. That's right. No ties in League Cup in 2023. So what happens after 90 minutes? Each team receives 1 point if the game is tied after that. Okay. The winner of the subsequent penalty shootout will earn an additional point. So if you're tied after 90 minutes and if you win the game by shootout, you're going to wind up with 2 points. And if you're still in the group stage, that's not what you want. You want to win the game. And of course, naturally, regulation wins count as 3 points. Now, the group stage buys for the 2022 champions. This is how they figured this out. 2022 Leagues Cup champion skips the group stage and starts at the round of 32. Right. So whoever was in this case, LAFC, they're just waiting for everybody after the group stage. They're just hanging out there. Out of the 2 Liga MX recent champions, remember, they played like a half season. They play the Clausura and Apertura season, something that I want MLS to do. And the club with the most combined points accumulated across both tournaments in the 2022 calendar year will skip the group stage and start in the round of 32. In other words, if the same team in the Mexican League total points and they have the most total points, well, wait for us in the knockout round. Basically, that's how it works. Let's talk about the group stage, okay? Each club where the Red Bulls are in, they're going to play a minimum of 2 matches in each group stage. We're playing, of course, New England Revolution and, of course, St. Louis are in the same group as us. The top 2 teams from each group will advance based on group points. Tiebreakers and full competition guidelines, of course, are going to be published in the coming months, and you can find that, of course, on MLSsoccer.com. Now, group assignments. MLS Cups ranked from 2 to 16 based on supporter shield finish are seeded first in each group. In other words, with the exception of the champion, the second best team, they root for the second best team to the 16th team. Now, Liga MX clubs rank from, again, 2nd to 16 based on total points from Clausura 2022 and Apertura 2022 combined. It will be in the 2nd position in each group, opposite of the MLS rankings. For example, the 15th ranked Liga MS team will be paired with the 2nd best team in MLS. The remaining 13 clubs, together with the 2 remaining MLS Liga MX clubs, will be drawn into groups and divided geographically. This is how they got this set up. Knockout rounds. This is where it gets, this is where it gets all fun from here. It's all single game elimination, folks. One and done. Round of 32, 16 matches. Round of 16, 8 matches. Quarterfinals, 4 matches. Semifinals, 2, of course. Now, there are 3 spots for the CONCACAF Champions League, Miguel. 3rd place match, which is the winner, qualifies for the CONCACAF Champions League. So if you make it to the 3rd place game, you're in, okay? The final on Saturday, which will take place on August 19th. If you're the last 2 teams standing, Miguel, you're in. Simple as that, okay? Back in the day, in order for you to qualify for the Champions League, you had to do A, win the U.S. Open Cup, B, win a conference championship, opposite of the team that actually won that conference championship, or C, win Supporter Shield, D, win it all, basically win MLS Cup. So both clubs are going to qualify for CONCACAF Champions League. Leagues Cup winner skips directly to the CONCACAF Champions League round of 16. Now think about that for a second. You don't even go to the playoff round. You don't even in the groups. You're in the knockout round when it's all said and done. Okay? Tournament awards, are going to repeat this. Third place match winner qualifies for the CONCACAF Champions League. Both clubs in the League Cup final qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. Leagues Cup 2023 champion qualifies directly to the CONCACAF Champions League round of 16. So those 3 spots are up for grabs. If your squad winds up somewhere underneath, you're off to the CONCACAF Champions League to fight for who's going to be the Confederation champion. And probably the reason why you want to care about all this is because, hey, basically for the U.S. Open Cup and, of course, winning a conference championship, either East or West, either East or West, you have an opportunity to basically make it to the CONCACAF Champions League. One basically is for the league. One, of course, is the best team during the regular season, of course. One is winning the conference championship. And, of course, this trophy, which everyone knows will get you to the FIFA World Club Cup Championship, which, oh, by the way, the tournament is coming here. FIFA is talking about bringing that tournament, Miguel, which usually takes place in December, here in the States. Okay, so think about this for a second. Let's just say, hypothetically, we somehow, as a miracle, somehow win this thing. I'm not saying we will, but you never know. We have a chance, win to get into the big tournament, as I say, that has to deal with club championships, of course, and of course, winning and get a chance to become world champion, which naturally some other club wins it other than you. It's definitely a CONCACAF team has never gone that very far before. But hey, stranger things is stranger things is happening. Yeah, okay. I was expecting that. Now everyone will be a pop quiz on this next month. I mean, so is everybody, basically everybody else listening in the course in the live audience, you got all that? There's going to be a quiz after that. But basically you can go on MLSsoccer.com and it'll break it down, to just basically how I did it. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Stephanie, who provided the slides so you guys can be able to break it down succinctly. So after all that, Miguel, after explaining, the format and everything else and the possibility of seeing a Mexican club or two, do you care?
Yeah, Gary, you know what? I'm sorry, but I missed everything you said. You know what? I was checking to see. I was checking to see if my League Cup tickets sold. Okay? I was checking, but they haven't sold yet. Okay, so yeah.
Okay,
Gary, I couldn't care less about this competition. Okay. It's just a big cash grab by MLS and Liga MX. And I'm going to tell you something.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Because I listen to the World Soccer Talk podcast like every week, and those guys discuss, TV issues. Nobody in Mexico cares about this.
No, they don't.
Because the Mexican
straight up. No. Yeah. We've been looking at, to Miguel's point, okay? I've asked some friends down in Mexico City, and I asked them about this tournament. They're like, we don't care. I mean, it's just a bunch of friendlies to us. And that's how they feel, okay, down there. And remember, they take football seriously down south of the border. So if this is no big deal to them, certainly it's not going to be big to most people who follow MLS. I mean, it's just, I don't know. My personal spin on this, this is great. I mean, something that they want to put more teams in the CONCACAF Champions League, then there are better ways to do that than this. I mean, honestly, I mean
Gary,
that's all I'll say about it. I'll just leave it at that.
Gary, we can't even win the U.S. Open Cup
No,
against MLS teams. Okay, now we're gonna have to face Mexican teams on
if
the
we
way.
get that far, boss.
You know, I I don't think we have a chance in hell of winning unless those teams don't take it seriously at all. That they don't care about getting into CONCACAF Champions League, but I would assume they would care, the Mexican teams. Okay, and if they play all their kids, maybe we'll have a straight shot to the final.
I
Who
doubt that. But
knows?
go ahead.
But I doubt that too, Gary. Okay,
I doubt that, but go ahead. Don't
that's
let
it.
that stop you.
You know what? So you know what? Yeah, I don't. If I were a Red Bull, okay, a coach, I would bring up guys from the Red Bull New York too, just like half the team Red Bull New York too, okay, and just rest everybody else. Let everybody get healthy, recuperate from any knocks, and then get back to the lead, Gary. Okay, that's it.
That's it.
That's my take on this crap. Okay, because you know what? We qualified for whatever Champions League. We ain't winning that.
No.
Okay? With Drew,
No.
with Wiki Carmona and whoever else that we have on our roster at the time. Okay.
Now the fun all starts, of course, on July 21st, and guess what? Inter Miami is taking on Mexican Giants Cruz Azul, and the reason why that's going to be such a headliner is because, well, Monsieur Messi is scheduled to play that match. Our match, of course, naturally doesn't happen until the 22nd, where we play, of course, New England Revolution, which is, okay, it's a League's Cup, it's a League's Cup match, but at the same time, it's versus a rival. Okay, we don't like New England, remember? And shortly after that match, Red Bulls are playing. Here it is. The Red Bulls are playing basically St. Louis.
San Luis.
Thank you, sir. San Luis.
Who's not even one of the big Mexican clubs?
No, they're not. They're one of the minnows, I was told, and that doesn't happen until the that doesn't happen until the 30th. So that's a Sunday, boys and girls, and that happens, of course. All matches, of course, take place on 7:30, mainly because of because Apple TV said so. So there's your your start limit. But I'm gonna ask every who are even Atletico San Luis has been that linear. Hey man, I thought you was on vacation. Never mind. But I'll ask I'll ask each and every one of you in the live audience, what do you think? Okay. You're interested in this thing. I mean, I won't blame you if you're not. You're interested in possibly seeing other teams out in your region, or no? I mean, I wasn't trying to put a good spin on it. I was just explaining what that is in case somebody walk up to me and say, "Hey, what's this all about?" So, we also play on Sunday. So it's Saturday to I don't know. In case you're wondering, the NWSL, the Gotham FC, they have a Challenge Cup which takes place in season. So there are two ways to win it. Win a trophy when it's all said and done. MLS took one look at that and said, we can do something bigger and bold. Let's invite the Mexicans over. Well, this is what we got. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Lonray, I don't know, man. I look at this and I look at the format and I look at the team and it just screams money grab to me. I don't know why. I mean, I don't want to be provincial and as far as our league versus everybody else, but if you're trying to broaden your footprint, maybe that's the case, but I don't know. Some people are going to watch it, Miguel. Most people won't. I mean, this is how I'm looking at it. I mean, it takes a break and it gives the team a chance to sharpen their sword, because I'm more thinking about those next 11 games down the stretch rather than this one on Saturday, to be honest with you.
Listen, I want to win we've gotten to the playoffs trophy, okay? That's what I want to win. Okay, because you know what? You get to the playoffs and anything can happen. Yada yada yada. Okay.
I have to agree with Carlos. What soccer game being played isn't a money grab these days? You know what? He's the one that coined the phrase "money talks." So he's right on that. I mean, he's dead right on that. But there's going to be a lot of folks, like you, going to be watching a bigger soccer game just about a few miles off the road as Arsenal take on Manchester United. I wish I could go. I would love to go. But sorry, but yeah, and here's John saying, "Okay, Arsenal versus United, talking about money grab." He's, I mean, it's a glorified friendly, but hey, it's a glorified friendly versus teams that hate each other.
Pre-season.
Yeah, it's pre-season. Yeah, it's preseason, but
getting...
I mean, the two fan bases can't stand each other. Okay, they don't.
Listen, I went to last summer. I went to Baltimore. It was Arsenal against Everton. And you saw. I told you I was in those bars around that stadium, and people with every Premier League jersey you can think of were there, man. Spurs fans were there.
Anybody who's going there, I want you guys to count the number of jerseys other than the two teams playing and get back to me. How many?
Yeah.
I mean, how many? That's that's your slight homework assignment. Count how many teams other than these two guys, are basically, wearing their jersey. When I'm betting that some of the ones I'm in double digits. Speaking of which, of course, naturally, Red Bull Arena. Well, they're going to be hosting Premier League talent. Of course, when they're during their summer series, because our little home happens to be showcasing that as, I believe, Newcastle versus Brighton. I believe is that what?
Yeah, when is that? When is that?
Man, I should have had written that. Written this down. Hang on for 1 second. Here we are. This is the Premier League Summer Series. I hate this. I really do. This is just a league that's really shaming the living daylights, of course, naturally, of MLS. And they're trying to do their respectability, but here we go. Of course, naturally, you got Chelsea versus Brighton, as will take place naturally Lincoln Financial Field. There's going to be a doubleheader. Also playing, believe it or not, as Brentford places Brighton and Newcastle. Chelsea at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There better be grass for that. There better be grass for that sort of. I don't think there would be me welcome in playing the turf on that. But our game, yes, Brighton versus Newcastle on Friday, July 28th, 7:30. That's gonna, that is definitely going to be it, and there are limited tickets available if you're into that sort of thing. So there's only going to be one game played there, not two like already else. But knowing the Premier League, it probably will be on television for those of us who are not going to make the trip on path. And of course, this is all preseason. Plain and simple. My only thing that I don't like is that the Premier League is one of the biggest leagues in the world, and they're basically making MLS look small by comparison. And here you are literally playing in your backyard. Ouch. I don't know how MLS is going to recover from that, if they can, but what are you going to do? Let's just simply talk about New York Red Bull 2. This is a funny game. They did everything they could to win this game, but just like the senior team, they coughed up a goal. Strange enough, they definitely coughed up a goal early on. They fought back. They fought, against Philadelphia Union 2-1. And they're down the Subaru, definitely down there in Subaru Park. Two clubs, New York was coming off a loss against New York City FC2. Philadelphia had lost in the shootout to Toronto FC2. You see the themes here, of course. Every team in that league has got a 2 next to them, except for a few. They coughed up, the goal in the 4th minute. 2 minutes after, of course, the senior team did in the 2nd minute. Stefan Stevanovic found the back of the net off a counterattack to give the tie the lead. They were down early. New York maintained the majority of possession in the first half, had high quality chances, and secured the leveling. Of course, naturally, they had a penalty kick to do just that. They got it. It wasn't until the 80th minute they found a breakthrough. Ibrahim Kasule came up with, of course, with the equalizer thanks to a penalty kick. But just when you think that there was a team that could chance to pull it out, unfortunately, the home side found themselves in a 2-1 breakaway in the 84th minute, guys. Found the ball to Luciano Sanchez, who basically put it home. That's all she wrote. 2-1, Philadelphia Union 2, New York Red Bulls 2-1. So, a loss like that, it was basically, one of those chances that it was one of those opportunities, Miguel, that once again, the mistakes and the immaturity in the final third is mirroring, of course, the first team. So it's not just, it seems that organizational wise, you got issues. Okay. Who's going to be there to, to right the ship? So, the whole idea is to teach the young guns not the mistakes they're doing on the first team and vice versa. But the only silver lining in this dark cloud is New York Red Bulls 2, Miguel, they're in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. So if the season ended today, they'd be in the playoffs for the very first time as the debutante season in that league. For the Red Bulls, they need to win and they need help. Okay. In other words, they need teams above them to stop dropping points while the team starts picking up points. We know this is League Cups. We know this is the first game of the group stage. We know that we faced New England before we got out, of course, naturally with our skin of our teeth, and we got out of there basically, held our nose with a penalty kick at the end. How do you see this match coming down the wire? We getting a win on this one, or you don't care because it's League's Cup?
Well, it all depends. What players are these coaches going to play, Gary?
Good point.
Good point. That's the question of the year, right there. Is our coach going to play all our starters?
I'm sure he will.
All our starters. So that's the question. Who's going to take it seriously, or is it going to be like one of these, like a U.S. Open Cup type things?
I doubt that.
Or both coaches. I don't know. Okay.
If
it was me, if I was the coach of New York Red Bulls, like I told you, half the team would be Red Bull New York, Red Bull 2 guys. Okay, if it was me.
Easy, John. Okay. Easy. Come on, man.
Right now.
Okay. Here's my thought. Okay, Troy Lesane is going to bring out his crew. Okay. If this is a time for them to whip these boys into shape, do it in this competition. You're not hurting anybody but yourselves. Okay. It's not like you're going to drop points and then you're not expected to go any further. Go ahead, Miguel.
Gary, that's another thing. Okay. They're 4 points out of the playoff spots. Okay.
For now.
Now, do you risk the players that you have getting hurt?
Another good point. Okay?
That's the issue.
You're fighting right.
I would not risk
fighting
that.
The injury bug. I
wouldn't risk that.
Right.
You know why, Gary? Because I want we got into the playoffs trophy. Okay, that's why. Okay.
I didn't know there was a trophy for that. But you're right. There is a.
That's the trophy we strive for every season. We got into the playoffs. Look at that. Look at that.
We get knocked out. We get knocked out in the first round. Except in the first round, there'll be more games. Now remember, I just want to throw this out there for everyone. If anyone who's complaining that the team played 3 games in 8 days, get used to it, because that is the formula for the first round. Remember, it's not one and done. It's a best of 3. So you're playing probably Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, and you got to survive all 3 in order to make it to the next round.
Please, Gary, please.
I know.
Rebel New York guys, come on. Rebel 2 guys, please.
I know.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with John. You play like a normal weekend. Anybody who's healthy, if they're healthy, I'm going to be that cockeyed optimist to say they're going to win this match because,
all right,
the reason for it is they got nothing else to lose. for the simple, for, and my worry is your worry, Miguel, is also Lisa's worry that remember, we're playing against a squad that don't like us too well, and these guys are going to go at each other hard. And I hate to sit there up in the press box and see, oops, okay, they're putting JMI in a stretcher. Damn.
And as a matter of fact, Gary, that's a squad coming here which will feel hard done by the previous game.
Oh, they got an axe to grind. Okay. Oh yeah. They got an axe to grind. Okay. You know you do. I mean, they feel that the referees handed that win to Red Bull. Oh yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but this is payback. This is definitely payback. So, of course, naturally, the game starts at 7:30 at Red Bull Arena. Kickoff is there. You're playing against New England Revolution. Remember, this is not an MLS match. This is League Cup match. It only counts in that standing in the tournament. MLS resumes play on the 20th of August. So, enjoy the League's Cup because it's going to come around next year. I mean, who knows? We might see, get some fun or whatever the case may be. But, surprise us. That's all I got to say in this particular tournament.
All right.
And with that, this show has come to an end. Wow. I mean, it really, it really kills me sometimes when this league, it's growing within 28 years. And instead of being, predictable and staying in their lane, they make these changes all the time. I guess to try to, bring up the stature. But tournaments like this sound desperate to me. I don't know why that is, but
because it is. It's desperation.
I mean, it sounds like a desperation to me. It really is. It's just stay with the formula. Don't mess with it a little bit. If you're going to introduce a little excitement, introduce Pro Rel in a limited sense. Okay.
Yes.
Cut it down to 20 teams. Okay, 10 in each league, and everybody else, there's your second division in MLS. Have a nice day.
Make every game count, Gary. That's what I said. Okay? Thank you.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you guys so much for your support. Remember, right after the show, if you missed, of course, the live broadcast, it does get uploaded into our Spotify account and, of course, naturally on our YouTube channel the very next day for your listening pleasure. Next week, the Furious 3 return, of course, with Carlos Cano and, of course, Mark Coates. Oh, by the way, the other day celebrated a birthday. Shout out to all my main man there. Very happy return.
Another gunner, Mark.
Another gunner, of course.
Thank you.
And for the rest of you guys, thank you so much for joining us on the live show. We will see you guys next week.
Yes, Lisa, go Arsenal. Thank you. Okay.
Which we've talked, of course, naturally about the League's Cup and everything. So we're going to have our guest star, we will announce, of course, very shortly. So please enjoy the game, everyone. And, of course, naturally enjoy, of course, your weekend. We will talk to you soon. Until then, good night. See you next week. Bye-bye for now.